Facebook has removed more than 340 fake accounts, pages, and groups tied to Russian military intelligence. The company says those networks were not primarily targeting the U.S. They instead focused on, quote, the Far East, Russia's neighboring countries, and Syria. But Facebook's head of security policy said the presence of these Russian accounts could have larger implications for the upcoming election. For more on all things tech, CNET senior producer Dan Patterson joins me now. Hey there, Dan. We've seen an uptick in the removal of similar Russian networks over the past few months. Why is this so significant?
Well, it matters because A, the election is happening, and B, Facebook says, according to them, they are taking down these accounts faster. Now, you could say, well, they're popping up faster, but Facebook says that they have less of an impact because they're able to detect deeper, meaning across their network, more accounts, and they're able to take them down in greater time. This means that if they're spreading propaganda or disinformation, they're less capable, according to Facebook.
The Justice Department wants to force companies like Facebook, Google, and Twitter to be more responsible for the content that appears on their platforms. What is the Department of Justice asking from Congress?
Well, the Department of Justice is asking for, broadly speaking, more scrutiny on the types of content posted on social networks. In the past, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act said that large internet providers were not liable for the content that users posted. Now, this is broad. There are particulars that modify this a little bit, but it is largely credited for the creation of sites like YouTube, Flickr, Facebook, and Twitter. So adding a pressure of potential liability to the content that users post, the tech platforms say is, well, impossible. We just can't police this. But that potential for liability means that these companies could be faced with lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit.
Okay, Dan, let's talk about TikTok. President Trump tried to ban it, citing concerns over national security. Tell us the latest with TikTok's deal with Oracle and Walmart. And should users still be concerned about their security if American companies like Oracle and Walmart are involved? In fact, aren't they actually buying it because they want this user data?
Well, if you are confused about the state of TikTok today, you are not alone. Look, this changes almost day by day. I try to stay in touch with TikTok on almost a daily basis. And what it means is that the Chinese-owned TikTok, they're owned by a company called ByteDance, would become an American-owned company, jointly owned in this scenario by Walmart and by Oracle. So you asked about security and privacy. And look, anytime you give your data to a large technology platform, you're essentially forking over a very valuable commodity. And will you be more safe now than if it was in the hands of a Chinese company? That's almost impossible to tell, but do know that your private information, including what you watch, how long you watch it, who you talk to, that is in someone else's control and not yours.
All right, speaking of apps, some of the biggest app makers have banded together against Apple and Google to form the Coalition for App Fairness. This includes companies like Epic Games, Spotify, Match Group, and Tile. What prompted this coalition? And these are big organizations, so what impact could it have on the industry?
Well, look, these are billion-dollar companies fighting, in Apple's case, trillion-dollar companies. These aren't small little mom-and-pop shops.
Clash of the
Epic
Titans.
Games make Fortnite. Clash of the Titans. Epic Games makes Fortnite, the world's most popular game. And look, this was prompted by the stake that Apple takes in transactions, which is generally 30% of all transactions, but it is applied in their allegations unevenly. So Apple has long been accused of making special relationships or charging different developers, smaller developers in some case. Basecamp, which is a part of this consortium, makes an email app called Hey, and that kind of kicked off some of the scrutiny this summer when Apple asked them to pay more or to add transactions so they could take a 30% cut. The real issue here is that almost every developer interacts with Apple or Google, and both of these companies take a 30% cut of transactions. For many companies, this is a ton of money. When you think about the amount of money that Fortnite makes, it's quite a bit. But for a small startup, it might be less money, but that money might be 1 or 2 or 3 jobs. So this consortium, this group is saying, hey, look, Apple unfairly applies these policies. We just want fairness. Now, on the other side, Apple says, hey, look, our policies are open for anybody to read, and you, Epic Games, violated these policies, and so we're yanking you from the App Store. It is a clash of the titans. The only people that lose here are consumers trying to play games or pay a little less when you buy a transaction or buy an app on the App Store.
All right, speaking of Apple, Apple just released its Series 6 watch, Dan, and the iPhone 12 is expected next month. What kind of new features can we expect? And let me be really clear, I'm looking for the Face ID to work with my mask on. Is it happening?
We don't know if Face ID will be adapted for the new iPad Air, which was recently announced. They moved Face ID to Touch ID in the power button on the top of the device. But what's really interesting out in iOS 14 is contact tracing. It's not live for everyone right now, but they say they're using Bluetooth to see who you come in contact with. And in fact, they're launching a QR scanner so that if and when you do outdoor dining at a restaurant or any type of dining, you're able to scan a QR code and have that register with the other people who are at that restaurant. We will see a number of changes coming when Apple announces the alleged iPhone 12 later in October.
All right, we'll have to keep waiting then. Dan Patterson, thank you.
Great to see you.